From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, reactions to Supreme Court's dismissal of President Buhari's suit seeking deletion of Section 8412 of Electoral Act. Group rejects same-faith tickets in 2023 elections. Medical advisory on organ transplant without legal problems. On the foreign scene, Roe versus Wade, U.S. Supreme Court overturns landmark abortion ruling. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Diron Onifade. The Supreme Court struck out President Muhammadu Buhari and the Attorney General of the Federation suit challenging Section 8412 of the Electoral Act. The case was expunged on the grounds of lack of jurisdiction to entertain the suit, described as an abuse of court processes. Earlier, a notice for the judgment delivery was served on President Buhari and the National Assembly on Thursday, inviting them to appear before the court Friday for the judgment. The president and his Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, had filed a suit at the Supreme Court seeking an interpretation of the controversial clause in the Electoral Amendment Act 2022. In the suit filed on April 29, Buhari and Malami, who are the plaintiffs, listed the National Assembly as the sole defendant. There have been several debates regarding Section 8412 of the amended Electoral Act 2022, which was assented to in February. Upon assenting to the act, President Buhari had asked the National Assembly to delete the contended clause. However, the Parliament declined the President's request. Meanwhile, counsel for the National Assembly, Kayode Ajulo, is praising the court judgment. The lawyer, in an exclusive interview with Trust TV, says the judgment is evident that constitutional democracy is working. Mardia Umar reports.
The matter was filed in court through the vacation of the President and the Attorney General of the Federation, invoking the original jurisdiction of the court, from the High Court to the Supreme Court. Frank Ajulo, an Abuja-based lawyer and counsel to the National Assembly, reacts to the court judgment at a court sitting.
Another one is the fact that we believe that there is no case before the court. No case in the sense that for the president to invoke the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court on such matter, the matter should have been the case that involved the president and the National Assembly. Not that some people, the president will be acting in representative capacity for some people, because our argument is to the fact that whosoever, anybody that needs to complain should be the political appointee that are complaining. The political appointee are known, they are not masquerade, they are well known, we even know their numbers. You can easily ascertain the number of all political appointees in Nigeria. And for the president to leave everything in this world, as big as Nigerian problem is, to now be filing a case on behalf of the political appointee, I will believe the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is so busy and so great to disturb himself with that, and the courts agree with us.
He also speaks on the implication of the judgment to the Nigerian constitution and democracy.
The implication here is that our law is working, our democracy is working. Our constitution is working too. And it's for them to know that the law, the court, is all there to settle any differences. And I want to believe there is.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has hailed the Supreme Court judgment, which struck out the suit by President Muhammadu Buhari seeking to void the provision of Section 8412 of the Electoral Act Amendment 2022. The spokesperson of the House, Benjamin Kalu, gave the commendation while speaking with journalists on Friday in Abuja. The court on June 24 said that the president lacked the power to direct the National Assembly to amend or enact an act. adding that it violated the principle of separation of powers. According to the judgment, there is no part of the Constitution that makes the exercise of legislative power subject to the directive of the President. He said that the mandate of the House was lawmaking with the intention of bridging a gap created in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that was not captured, adding that the House of Reps could only do this by looking at Section 8412 of the Electoral Act Amendment. He added that the competitive element was necessary to advance the country's democracy. A group, Northern Nigeria's Front for Equity and Good Governance, says same-faith tickets in the 2023 presidential election will not augur well for the country. The group said this at a press conference in Kaduna. The report.
Political parties are strategizing on how to win the 2023 general election, and the choice of a running mate is at the center of achieving this plan. It is, however, proving difficult for some political parties to make this choice in a multi-ethnic and multi-religious country like Nigeria without facing backlash. Northern Nigeria's Front for Equity and Good Governance says picking Kabir Masari, a fellow Muslim by the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is not only divisive but callous.
We find it very divisive, careless and callous for some persons to say that the choice of a Christian from the north will not guarantee northern votes for certain political parties. For instance, they have brazenly and openly said that only the choice of a Muslim from the north as running mate to candidate of the ruling party can guarantee the votes of north. In other words, they are saying that a Muslim ticket is the only way to victory for the ruling party. This is misleading.
Though the group says it believes in competency, it however warned politicians to be cautious of the people's sensitivity in order to promote inclusion for all in the country.
To demonstrate how untrue such positions of religious one can give an example with the current leadership of the Northern Governors Forum, which is chaired by the Governor of Plateau State, Right Honorable Simon Bakola Long, who happens to be a Christian amidst his colleagues that are majority Muslims. Despite that, he has led them well and enjoy their full cooperation and support. Where then is the religious dichotomy coming from?
Political parties have until July 15th to replace candidates who may have withdrawn from contesting either the presidential or National Assembly elections. Lami Sadiq for Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Save for last-minute change, official documents domiciled in the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, have shown that Honorable Bashir Machena duly won the All Progressives Congress APC primary election for Yobe North Senatorial District of Yobe State. A certified true copy, CTC, of the report of INEC team sent to monitor the primary election signed by Omale Samuel, dated May 28, 2022, also showed that Machena polled 289 votes out of 300 delegates at the exercise. As more states declare public holidays to allow residents get permanent voters' cards, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is called upon to extend the ongoing continuous voter registration CVR exercise beyond June 30th deadline. The exercise started in June last year and is now facing a last-minute rush as many Nigerians are yet to register. With increase in numbers of people flooding voter registration centers, voters raise questions on the need for extension.
Exercise without a deadline, because every day people turn 18, and you tell that's the required age to vote. So why disenfranchise those who turn 18 by January? Every day, as we speak, if you have a deadline like end of this month, what about next month? You are the one telling us we should go and vote. It's our civic right. For me personally, I think it's supposed to be a continuous exercise.
Yes, the extension is okay, it's welcomed by us, but then they should put enough structure for it to be easy for people to vote. Like imagine coming all the way from the other side of town just to do the registration here in the heart of town. Imagine the hassles, the stress and everything. They should make structure, make it easy for people. When I got to their office first, they told me the best time to come is early in the morning. Most of us are workers. We don't have the time to be wasting here and there. So they should put structures, here and there, so to make it easy for people to access them.
Each month, each day, people turn up a thing, and they have to participate. They are Nigerians. They should be involved. So why do you want to disenfranchise them? Let alone people that now people are willing to get this voters card. So the INEC should step up their game. Do you know? This IT world, what are they lacking? Is it the skills? Is it the expertise? What is the area they are lacking? This thing is easy if they want to, if they have to do it. How is it easy? You have your BVN, you have your NIN. Why not link them together? Why not use your NIN with your BVN to generate your voters number? And it's easier. You link every details that has to do with federal government in one accord.
Yeah, I've been here since morning, but thank God I could get my temporary PVC, awaiting the permanent one. There's some sense of positivity. That's the drive, not just getting the PVC or any deadline. Just the drive, the positivity we are seeing, envisioning, that's what's pushing us. So an extension, probably a month or, I don't know, it won't cause any distraction. It's 2023. This is a modern age. After an extension, they have enough time to the end of the year to do whatever they want to do.
Now, away from politics and election, the recent arrest and subsequent remand of former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu and his wife has brought organ harvesting to front burner. But London-based medical practitioner Dr. Sadia Gumi told Trust TV that voluntary organ donation is considered legal in the United Kingdom.
Organ harvesting is actually a technical term, or is a surgical term of whereby you remove an organ from the donor and give it to a recipient. So it's like you're harvesting those organs and, putting it into someone else. So an organ donor is actually the person who would volunteer, give their organs, either when they're alive or when they're dead, to another person who would, need it. So I saw quite in the media a lot of, terms use organ harvesting. So, it's just something that even here in the UK, almost everybody is encouraged to register with the organ donation registry, so that, for instance, somebody has a road traffic accident, they die, then their organs are being used for other people. So one's organs, maybe their eyes would be used, their heart, their liver, their their kidneys would be when they die. It's also the living donor. So for instance, you've got a loved one or a friend maybe that needs a kidney. You can give one of your kidneys to them, or, a part of your liver, or maybe like some kind of bone marrow for people that have like sickle cell, so these are livings that can, volunteer to give that. So obviously this case, I think the problem in this case is if there is any suspicion that the person that is actually the donor has been forced or maybe manipulated or exploited in some kind of way, or there's some kind of monetary exchange for them to give their organs, that is seen as illegal. And in this case also, the alleged donor is said to be a 15-year-old from what I have read in the media. So there's also the aspect of this person being a minor. And here in the UK, the Child Protection Act is a big thing. So I think there are two issues here: the illegal donation or harvesting, and all, the protection issues that are all combined. There are places that we know around the world that practice this organ harvesting, because they go and exploit people that are poor and, remove a kidney and pay them some money. But definitely it's not prevalent. If it's the illegal one, it's not prevalent here in the UK at all. As you can see, they take these cases very serious. But if you've got, let's say, a friend or, a family member, let's say, that needs a kidney and you want to voluntarily give that kidney, and you would also have to go under a lot of, it has to be an informed consent. You have to know giving your kidney, and it's quite a lot of procedure. And this is done legally. And yes, you can have somebody donating maybe their kidney, their liver to a love, but not for money at all.
Dr. Sadia Gumi speaking from the UK. Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Fatima Waziri Aziz, says there is more of internal trafficking than external trafficking. Waziri Aziz said this in Benin at a meeting she held with stakeholders and partners of the agency in Edo. She explained that 83% of trafficking in Nigeria happens within states or communities and across state lines, adding that only 12% accounts for trans-border trafficking. She called for more sensitization of the public against human trafficking, noting that there was huge ignorance of the public on issues relating to human trafficking. The Director General, who described human trafficking as a $150 billion criminal enterprise and the second transnational organized crime after drug trafficking, said that human trafficking is an enterprise for professional criminals who traffic people for the sole purpose of killing them and harvesting their organs. She added that this is so because there is at present a global shortage of organs for transplant. Waziri Aziz, however, said that some Nigerians fell prey to human traffickers because of misinformation and disinformation. The abducted wedding guests who regained freedom on Thursday evening have been reunited with their families in Gusau, Zamfara State on Friday. The families of the victims and colleagues were beaming with excitement and thanking God over the safe return of their relatives. The report.
This is the arrival of the 29 abducted wedding guests in Gusau after they had regained freedom from their abductors last Thursday. Their arrival sparked up jubilation, expression of gratitude to God over the safe return of the victims who have been in captivity for 12 days. The chairman of the Union of Communications Zamfara State Chapter, Kabiru Garba, said they are thankful and happy. He, however, did not disclose if ransom was paid before securing their release, but according to rumor going round, 20 million naira was said to have been paid.
We thank God for the overwhelming victory He has given to us over the incident that happened to our children. Together, God has given us the power of victory over the trial that befell them. Our children were abducted since Saturday, the 11th of June, and today, Friday, has been 13 days in captivity, and until Thursday evening, God gave them freedom. I'm calling on our children to take the incident as a trial that God brought to them, and to note that even servants of God face different kinds of trials. We, the rest of the people, we should continue to pray and thank God for the trial and victory He brought. I want people to note that this trial, which the victims had faced, can befall anyone.
It could be recalled that the 29 abducted wedding guests were kidnapped by suspected terrorists at Dogon Awu, bordered community between Sokoto and Zamfara State on Saturday, 11 June, when they were returning from Tambuwal town to Gusau after a wedding of one of their colleagues. Those abducted on that fateful day were GSM dealers at Bebeji Plaza in Gusau. The terrorists had initially demanded 145 million naira ransom.
The Theatre of Operation Hadinke has inaugurated the new Special Court-Martial Council in Maiduguri. The court will be currently handling 29 cases of officers and soldiers for professional misconduct.
Tell my soldiers, my officers, my soldiers, because I know that it is because they want to sacrifice for their country that they join the forces. But again, we have rules and regulations that must be obeyed. Let me assure you, the accused persons, that nobody has any reason to fear as the court will carry out its proceedings in accordance with the provisions of extant rules and regulations. The theater command has already provided a level playing field for both the accused persons and the prosecution team. To this end, I wish to call on the President, members of the court, and all other stakeholders to remember your oaths, honor, and dignity, which requires you to justify the confidence reposed on you.
National Chairman of Nomadic Rights Concern, Professor Umar Labdo, wants Nigerians to stop profiling the Fulani tribe as bandits or terrorists. Labdo, at a press briefing in Kaduna, said the current security challenges associated with some bad elements among the Fulani could be overcome if measures are put in place to educate them.
According to the chairman of the group, Professor Umar Labdo, represented by Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, the only way to solve the famous herders clash and other crimes associated to some bad element among the Fulani tribe is to adopt a modern livestock breeding and rearing method. He said the federal government should also listen to the grievances of Fulani pastoralists.
The work already started by me, which is engaging nomads and herders and talking to them and listening to their grievances. It will open up a window through which they will make themselves heard by the authorities and the society in general.
Another issue of concern raised was ethnic profiling of Fulani tribe as criminals, which the Fulani leader said the narrative exposed them as target and dangerous people among Nigerians.
It all boils down to the issue of this profiling, ethnic profiling, because I believe that wherever you come from, you have, these herders living in your vicinity for so many years. Now, with this profiling, every Fulani man is seen as a criminal, and it makes it very, very difficult for us. And if you come to the real fact, you find out that the Fulani suffers these criminalities more than anybody.
You see, whenever you talk about perpetrating crimes and you relate it to a nomad or a pastoralist, there is a problem. Because all over the nation, everybody's in every society we have criminals. And if you have criminals, we should not accuse a particular group of people and say they are the criminals, whereas they are not. Relate criminals to criminals, bandits to bandits. Don't relate it to any tribe or culture or society.
Nomadic Right Concern is a new Fulani nomad group seeking to address the gap between herdsmen and the larger society due to recent spate of insecurity and ethnic clashes involving the pastoral nomads.
The Nasarawa state government says community leaders would now be held responsible for crises between farmers and herders in their communities. The state deputy governor, Emmanuel Akabe, disclosed this shortly after a security meeting following renewed clashes between farmers and herders in Doma local government area of the state. The Nasarawa state government is suing for peace and is ready for sanction on any community leader who gives room for crisis in his community. Just like the state government, traditional leaders are also working out modalities to promote peace in their communities. The issue of farmer-herder clashes has been on the front burner for some time now, with the north-central states of Benue, Nasarawa, and Plateau bearing the brunt of the clashes and death toll. This step by the state government will be welcomed by stakeholders who have always complained of the complicity of community leaders to some of the unending clashes, destruction of property, and killing. Police operatives in Kaduna have neutralized bandits in the Giwa local government area of the state. The operatives also recovered a rifle and a locally fabricated long-range revolver with 12 cartridges, as well as a motorcycle used by the bandits for nefarious activities. According to the spokesman of the Kaduna State Police Command, DSP Mohammed Jalige, the tactical operation received a distress call in the early hours of Thursday that some armed bandits were sighted along Galadimawa Road in Giwa local government. He said that the command, in a bid to truncate the mission of the bandits, immediately ordered the deployment of a strong nearby force to the location, which forced the bandits to flee into a nearby forest with gun injuries. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali, has presented over 22 million naira checks to the families of police officers killed on active service to the country. While presenting the checks, the IGP represented by the Commissioner of Police, Plateau State, Bartholomew Onyeka, said the checks were presented to families of police officers who served the nation gallantly before their demise. The commissioner said the IGP gave the money following the realization of the plight of families of his men who died on active service and had shown laudable commitment to ensuring that they get what was due to them without further delay. The police boss, who said that the sacrifices of their breadwinners could not be quantified with anything, advised the beneficiaries to make good use of the money to address their felt needs and various challenges. Nankin Jane, who spoke on behalf of the beneficiaries, thanked the Inspector General of Police for valuing the sacrifices of their loved ones. Watching Trust TV's News Hour. Coming up after the break, consequences of obsession with skin bleaching. Stay with us.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Trust TV's News Hour. A look at our top stories. Reactions to Supreme Court's dismissal of President Buhari's suit seeking deletion of Section 8412 of Electoral Act. And a group rejects same-faith ticket in 2023 elections. Moving to more stories. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, has described as inaccurate reports going round that the commission has raided a property allegedly belonging to former Chief of Army Staff, Tukur Buratai. This is contained in a statement by the spokesman for the ICPC, Azuka Ogugwa, on Friday. According to the statement, ICPC operatives raided a property in Wuse 2, Abuja, on June 16 on suspicion of money laundering, and facts available indicated that the property is owned by owner of K Salam Construction Company a military contractor. The statement further said the commission arrested the managing director of K Salam Construction Company, Nigeria Limited, Kabiru Salau. He said investigation is ongoing and prefers not to preempt its outcome and also avoid the frenzy of a media trial. Over 8 years of insecurity has ravaged thousands of farming communities in Katsina State, throwing many into hunger and abject poverty. As a result of this worrisome situation, many people, especially children, are severely malnourished, particularly in the insecurity-prone local government areas of Katsina State. Abdullahi Yamadi visited Dadara Maternal and Child Health Center in Jibia local government area, where children with severe and moderate malnutrition are treated free of charge, courtesy of Doctors Without Borders.
The process here is made easier by the sponsor, the Medicines Sans Frontières, as constant sensitization is maintained on the best practices to fight malnutrition. For the newcomers to the facility, the height and weight of the children will be measured to determine whether they fit the profile of being malnourished. Thousands of children have undergone this same process. Those found severely malnourished are referred to Kofar Saudi in Katsina for further investigation. However, children with moderate cases of malnutrition are given ready-to-use therapeutic feed, otherwise known as kwamasu in Hausa language.
Kwana na sati uku ina zuwa yau. Amma ina ganin alhamdulillah jiki gaskiya.
My child was malnourished because I have nothing to offer her. I have little or nothing to feed her. We no longer go to farms, no animals, nothing. Our communities have been devastated by terrorists. My child was very sick when I brought him to this facility. But look at him now, looking healthy. He was given this supplement, otherwise known as kwamasu, which is very effective.
The health facility attends to malnourished children in its catchment area, which covers Jibia, Bazari, Safana, and Damusa. Experts attribute malnutrition to hunger, abject poverty, and economic deprivation. Many communities in Katsina State are prone to these factors as a result of a level of insecurity which is deteriorating by the day.
I tell you honestly, that essence of malnutrition is poverty. It's that lack.
And there's too much poverty.
Too much of poverty. Honestly, it's poverty. If there's no poverty, what are the essence of malnutrition? You have money to buy food, essential food to eat. I don't have any problem for poverty.
Observers say many people, especially children, will risk death from hunger unless stringent measures are taken to forestall insecurity to allow communities resume to farming activities. Abdullahi Ismail, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Pilgrims from Adamawa State are visiting major Islamic holy places in Medina, Saudi Arabia, to offer prayers for the country. Sharif Al-Hassan reports that landmark places visited are in the second holiest city in Islam. His report.
Medina, the home of peace and tranquility, a city within the shores of Saudi Arabia, which once served as the final place of residence of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and where his grave and that of his companions are located. This short description tells why millions of pilgrims visit the holy city before embarking on Umrah and Hajj rituals in Mecca. Since their arrival in the holy city, Adamawa contingents in Medina could not resist the blessings and spiritual attachment of Masjid al-Nabawi Mosque, whose architectural design and its serenity is enough to break anyone's silence, let alone a visitor coming for the first time. Malam Abdul Malik is one among millions of pilgrims from Adamawa, tapping from the abundant blessings of the Holy Mosque while extolling its great virtues in the eyes of Islam.
The city of Medina is the holy city that has been blessed. It is the city of the Holy Prophet, peace be unto him. It is a city full with kind people everywhere.
From the grand mosque of Prophet Muhammad, the pilgrims, accompanied by Islamic clerics, embark on a guided tour to some of the notable Islamic landmarks in Medina.
This is something I usually see on videos, but today I am here witnessing it live. Before, people will send it to me, but now seeing is believing.
The city of Medina holds an important place in the minds of Muslims as the second most holiest city in Islam. Though not part of Hajj and Umrah requirements, but the city always serves as a constant reminder of how Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions fought hard to stabilize the religion of Islam. While in Medina, intending pilgrims are also expected to visit the holy mosque of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quba Mosque, the dead farm of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and of course the Battle of Uhud and other notable places in this holy city.
Thank you, Alassane. Let's go a bit worldly now. Skin bleaching is a cosmetic practice that aims to lighten someone's skin. Some use it to lighten specific areas or dark spots, while others may want to lighten their overall skin tone. In Nigeria today, the practice is rampant among both males and females, as they believe that light skin is a sign of beauty. Bleaching is to make a human skin white or much lighter by a chemical process. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail examines the effects of bleaching on human skin. The report.
Studies shows that women in Nigeria are the highest consumers of skin whitening creams, according to a controversial 2015 data by WHO. 77% of women in Nigeria use skin lightening products, a situation that calls for scrutiny and strong awareness campaigns on the dangers and adverse effects of bleaching creams. According to health experts, bleaching has been associated with a number of life-threatening health issues. A consultant and family physician at Gombe State Specialist Hospital, Dr. Dangana Ahmadu, said skin whitening is mostly triggered by psychological problems.
One of those is a dysphobia that make you feel you are not good enough. Maybe one has a dark skin and he or she begins to feel like, no, when I become fairer, I'll be liked more by my friends, by my colleagues or whoever. So the person now, because of this psychopathic way of thinking, begins to go to get to want to bleach his skin.
The family health physician said bleaching has consequences which are classified from short to long-term effects.
You will realize that some part of your body is fair, the other part is dark, the other part is brown. So you become a multicolored skin individual. So what that will ensure is begin to make you feel depressed and anxious. So you are coming into it to get a toned skin. All of a sudden you are getting a multicolored, bizarre, disfigured skin. So fungal infections, bacterial infections, recurrent bacterial and fungal infections is the order of the day for this kind of people. Some of the deep damage to the skin that can happen is what we call skin cancer.
Dr. Dangana urged people to shun bleaching to preserve the value of their skin and advise those who are not satisfied with their skin color to consult medical experts for proper counseling.
While we cannot control all the reasons for which people want to have these bleachings, but we do believe that by the time you come, we probably may advise you and get you even a better perspective of what you have, and you probably may learn and know how to live with what you think you may not be able to live with it.
The global skin lightening product market size was estimated at $10.57 billion in 2022, and Nigeria led the purchasing trend. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says it has arrested 130 suspects between June 2021 and May 2022 and secured conviction of 97 persons for drug-related offenses within this period. The Enugu State NDLEA Commandant, based Mr. Basi Anete Idem, made this known while presenting the command's activities for the 2022 International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking in Enugu. The United Nations Office of a Drug Crime in 2021 reports that people between ages 15 and 29 years constitute the highest age of substance abuse in the country. 15% of Nigeria's adult population are involved in the abuse of psychotropic substances. The report revealed further that cannabis sativa remains the most used drugs, while sedative and unprescribed medications is widely practiced. Recently, methamphetamine, popularly known as mpulumili, became a prominent psychotropic substance abused by young Nigerians. According to the Enugu State Commandant of the NDLEA, the command secured 97 convictions, rehabilitated 36, with 18 undergoing rehabilitation. This year's UN International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking, with the theme Addressing Drug Challenges in Health and Humanitarian Crisis, has lined up programs to mark the event. In an effort to further reduce the burden of malaria, Nasarawa State has keyed into the seasonal malaria prevention strategy known as Seasonal Malaria Chemo Prevention Intervention. State Commissioner for Health, Ahmed Baba Yahya, made this known at a media parley for the flag-off of the second round of the program in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent this report as presented from our studio.
Malaria is a life-threatening disease which requires regular attention, hence the key into the sensational fight against the disease. The strategy has been ongoing in the Sahel and Savannah regions of the country for years, and significant results have been achieved through the implementation of strategy in these regions. Speaking on the strategy, Nasarawa State Commissioner for Health, Ahmed Baba Yahya, said in implementing planned strategy, attention will be given more on children who are the most vulnerable on the disease.
The seasonal malaria preventive is a preventive intervention focused on children under 5 as I earlier said. It is defined as the intermittent administration of a full course of anti-malaria medicine during the high malaria season to prevent malaria illness with objectives of maintaining therapeutic anti-malaria drug concentrations in the blood throughout the period of the greatest malaria risk.
He said in the first year of the implement, over the 10 years personnel were involved in a total of 700 children between the ages of 3 to 15 months across the state were targeted. He explained that even though with the adoption of these previous plans, malaria has continued to reduce, but used present strategy led to foster to drop the burden of the malaria in the state.
As we are aware, the malaria is a life-threatening disease caused by a parasite that are transmitted to people through the bite of infected female Anopheles mosquito. Even though the burden of this malaria has continued to drop from 60% since the creation of this state to 30% in 2010, and up to the recent survey that will have about 14.6% in 2018.
He called on media practitioners to use their profession to propagate information that will guide the residents on the prevention of malaria in the state.
We'll be back after the break. Welcome back, and we begin with business. Let's join Chamunda Beng.
The federal government of Nigeria has begun the implementation of the 10% per litre excise duty on all non-alcoholic, carbonated and sweetened beverages. This was revealed during a policy meeting in Abuja by the Chief Superintendent of Customs from the Department of Excise, Free Trade Zone and Industrial Incentives, Dennis Ituma. The National Action on Sugar Reduction, NASR, organized the meeting to discuss how to apply levies and other interventions to decrease the consumption of sweetened beverages in the nation. According to Ituma, the implementation began on June 1st, 2022. He stated that customs began taxing all businesses that make sugar-sweetened drinks by informing them of the necessity of taxation. According to the Apex Bank, net flows from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and independent sources were affected due to the implementation of the Treasury Single Account, TSA, which was said to be primarily responsible for the economy's decreased net foreign exchange inflow in January of this year. From $6.89 billion in December 2021 to $4.36 billion in January 2022, the total amount of foreign exchange that entered the economy decreased by 36.7%. This was stated in CBN's economic report for January that the total outflow of foreign currency decreased to $3.41 billion from $3.59 billion in the previous period. According to the report, January had a net influx of $0.95 billion as opposed to a net inflow of $3.29 billion in December. Further investigation revealed that the Apex Bank's foreign exchange inflow decreased by 45.4% from $2.88 billion to $1.82 billion, mostly due to TSA and third-party receipts, ministries, departments and agencies transfers, other official receipts, and swaps. In order to ensure that aviation and existing aviation safety system can securely coexist with new 5G services, the International Air Transport Association, IATA, has asked the federal government of Nigeria and the governments of other nations to engage closely with the aviation industry. The group spoke against the backdrop of recent flight disruptions brought on by the rollout of 5G services by telecommunication companies in the United States and plans by Nigeria and other nations to roll out 5G services in the near future. IATA claims that reliable testing done in conjunction with aviation subject matter experts is crucial to supplying the necessary data. According to the report, several countries have already taken steps to ensure rigorous testing, enough spectrum separation between 5G C-band deployments, and compliance with the 4.2 to 4.4 gigahertz frequency band utilized by existing radio altimeters. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabin.
We go to the foreign scene now. The U.S. Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade, the landmark ruling that granted the right to abortion for nearly 5 decades in the United States. In a decision released on Friday, the country's top court ruled in a Mississippi case that the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. The justices voted 6-3, powered by the court's conservative supermajority. The authority to regulate abortion is returned to the people and their elected representatives, the ruling reads. The decision follows a leak last month of a draft opinion indicating that Roe versus Wade would be overturned. That sparked widespread protests and condemnation across the United States, with reproductive rights advocates saying millions of women would no longer have access to abortion services. And here in Africa, the Tunisian police have arrested former Prime Minister Hamadi Jebali, a former senior member of the Ennahda party, on suspicion of money laundering. Police in the city of Sousse seized the phones of Jebali and his wife and then took him to an unknown location on Thursday, according to a statement by his family on Facebook. Jebali's arrest raises opposition concerns over the human rights situation in Tunisia since President Kais Saied dissolved the parliament last July in a move his opponents called a coup. Now, sports. FIFA has approved 26-man squads for this year's World Cup in Qatar. The move is in line with recent national competitions and is an expansion on the 23-man squads that had been used before the coronavirus. FIFA also said up to 15 substitutes can be named for a game, meaning no players misses out. The deadline for all 32 countries completing to submit their final squads is 20 October, 30 days before the first game between Senegal and the Netherlands at the Al Touma Stadium. Let's now join Adeni Ajishafe for more sports.
A Swiss appeals court has found former FIFA Secretary General Jerome Valcke guilty of forgery and bribery in a case involving World Cup media rights. A federal criminal court gave Valcke, Secretary General of the World Soccer Body, from 2007 to 2015 an 11-month suspended jail sentence. He had been cleared by a lower court in 2020 of accepting bribes and aggravated criminal mismanagement, but Swiss prosecutors appealed the ruling. The advantage Valcke allegedly received included the rent-free use of a villa owned by Qatari sport and broadcasting executive and Paris Saint-Germain chairman Nasser Al-Khelaifi in Sardinia. The appeals court, which reached its verdict on Thursday, acquitted Al-Khelaifi of inciting Valcke to commit criminal mismanagement. And in football, with qualifying games ongoing around the world, World Soccer Governing Body FIFA has announced the date and venue for the biennial tournament initially fixed to hold in 2020 but had to be postponed due to coronavirus pandemic. FIFA on Thursday announced Indonesia as host country, while the championship will run from 20 May to 11 June 2023. Nigeria's Flying Eagles are still in contention to play in the competition, having qualified to play in the 2023 Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. Semi-finalists of the tournament in Egypt will represent Africa in Indonesia. Nigeria Under-17 women's team, the Flamingos, will face Germany, Chile, and New Zealand in Group B of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup to be hosted in India. Group A comprises of host nations India, USA, Morocco, and Brazil, while Group C has Spain, Colombia, Mexico, and China. Japan, Tanzania, Canada, and France will face up in Group D, while the Flamingos will hope for glory in Group B. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. For more news, connect with us across all our social media platforms. I am Diron Onifade. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.